happy to spend a few minutes here at the end of the day to share with you some of our thoughts about research. And from my perspective, how I see Medicine X participating and helping with that. Our view, obviously, of any of the different domains of medicine is one where everyone's included. And the idea being that we put on our everyone included goggles in our way of seeing each other, and that we all have expertise and value to add to improving healthcare, including making new discoveries, and contributing to those discoveries with the expertise that we have. In Medicine X's eyes, you know, one of the things I use to illustrate that point is my last NIH grant, where I was funded to do clinical research study, gave me a little over $1 million to study a little over 100 patients. And the model that we see is to flip it with the help of patients and participants so that we can study 1 million people for $100, and we can drive that through participation, through donation of patient-generated data. And to advance that cause, we were really excited to be invited to the White House to co-create an event where we imagine a future where participants can partner with researchers in the enterprise of research, and where we can talk in very meaningful ways in a diverse group together about issues like who can do research, what are the different types of questions we can ask together, what are the ways that we can return value to participants for their partnership in research. And you've heard today some of the type of outputs and follow-up that have happened since that event, but we wanted to take a few moments today to extend that to you as well, to everyone here in this room, in a bit of co-creation. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Claudia and Nick.
Yeah. So this is a difficult and nostalgic period for us as we think about saying goodbye to this president and to my colleagues and teammates at the White House. And as we've started to lay out our plans for building this 1 million-person cohort, the president's been extraordinarily clear with us that the goal is not to build a new thing alone, a new cohort, but really to shift and change the underlying model of how we approach this work. And one of the ways in which he's asked us to do that is to make it possible for patients and citizens to be creators. He has said, sometimes I think, like, we didn't prep him on this. He just, like, he figured it out on his own. He's quite extraordinary. So he said, if we are going to do this, we have to partner in a different way with the participants, and we have to be sure we're returning all of the data back to them. So that strong voice, in addition to all of you as a community, have deeply guided our thinking so far. But as we launch into the next decade, it's going to be up to all of us. We will no longer have President Obama there. Hopefully we'll have another president who's just as enthusiastic about this work to make real on that question of what would a new model look like that's partnered and is delightful. Nick.
We are going to try something that we've not done before in this hall at Medicine X, and you're all a part of it. And if you didn't know that when you came into the room, I'm so sorry, but thank you for being here. This is going to be incredible. We have been asking this question, and I'm going to pull up a few quick slides here. I'm going to give a really quick introduction to this, and then this is going to be all about co-creating in this space. So we've been asking some of these questions around research, and one of them has been, how might we, and remember that's one of our favorite Medicine X phrases, how might we make research delightful? And you could think about that however you want. You might think about it from the standpoint of a researcher, or you might think about it from the standpoint of being a participant in research. What we're going to do right now is Larry and Claudia are going to visit you in the audience, and we're going to do a live brainstorm. But there's a few rules to a brainstorm, and I'm going to share them with you very, very quickly. They've asked me to be gentle when I pick this up. Let's see. So first of all, everything you need to do a brainstorm, you've got with you right now. And mostly it's your mind and it's your heart. I've got it. I'm good. Your mind and your heart connected to this question. So here's what we're going to do. First, really quickly, you've got to know that you've got to defer judgment. So that's the idea of like improv, yes and. If I say Uber, you say drones, right? We're going to build on the ideas of other people's. Let's keep these things going. We're going to stay focused on this idea of partners as participants in research. We're going to have one conversation at a time. We're going to encourage those really wild ideas, because if we go there, if we go really wild, we'll find the thing that has the nugget that really inspires us. And we want to be kind of visual. So when you're describing these things, if you could take a second and say, I think it would look or feel like this, that'd be great. And our goal today in this room is quantity. And the only way we're going to get to quantity is if you go with headlines. So it can't be a pitch for your product. It's got to be, I've got this incredible idea. We're going to use drones. We're going to pick people up. We're going to take them to the research center and then fly them home. And then the next person. You got it? Cool. So the question that we're asking, how might we make research more delightful? So while they're circulating, I'll give you 30 seconds of kind of quiet time to think of your ideas. And the trick is, if you think of just one, you'll get kind of stuck wanting the perfect one. So think of 3 or 4. As soon as you've got one, stand up or raise your hand. I see one right here. I feel like I'm doing a telethon. Claudia, Larry?
All right. Here you go.
Change the default so that when people go and they register at a new hospital or doctor or whatever, you sign your consent and you have to opt in that they may use your research for or your data for quality of care purposes, et cetera. Just make it the default that your data is going to go to this massive database across the country, and you have to opt out of it.
Love it. So the idea of opting in, right? You have to choose to opt out.
I'll get you next.
Hi. What if research could feel like a day at the spa? Something that you want to go to, right? Yes.
You love it.
Integrate research and clinical work so that all the patients who go to any clinic automatically become participants in research unless they do not want to. And also, all the research is immediately available for improved care for all patients. So it's all a continuum rather than separating research from clinical care.
Great. Got one here?
Incorporate social media research.
Say, rebrand research as a democratic right.
And just let's keep them coming. If I can't keep up, that's a good problem to have. So don't wait on me, Claudia and Larry.
Let patients decide what the research topics are.
Include children. Children are born researchers, and they will ask the right questions.
You actually mentioned it, Nick, but partner with Uber and have Uber Clinical that can pick you up, take you to your clinical trial, and then take you home. So
Love it.
Uber Clinical.
And the trial will be like a spa, right? And
Exactly.
And it'll be like your right to do it, and then the patients get to pick the spa treatments that are the research
Yeah, they pick you
options.
up, they take you to the spa.
Yes.
And you go, you do your treatment.
And actually, I'm going to go off of that. Instead of a spa, I want to make research like play.
I lobby for cupcakes. Also, if we could somehow use the process to encourage curiosity among the population and teach scientific skills to those who are participating.
What if research labs worked cooperatively instead of against each other?
Any back here?
This is Liz. Dovetailing off of research like play, put it in a format that people can play with it and touch it and feel it so regular people could understand what it's like to use research in some creative capacity.
We need to incorporate for our next MEDX conference physicians who serve the underserved area, because many of the physicians are unsung heroes, especially physicians who work in corrections, inner city areas. Those physicians never get recognition for their hard work.
For me, I think everyone that participates in research, whether it's a researcher, doctor, or patient, should have like a special dress like superhero, because it creates a visual impact that everyone that's doing research is hero, and I think they are.
Reduce the barriers for junior doctors earlier in their training to get involved in research. There's a lot of paperwork.
There's some up front here too.
Recognize nurses.
What if we said thank you to the participants and followed up with what positive happened during the research?
And flip it. So tell people they can't do research and then they'll want to.
Create a path for mentorship for people or participants who don't know the first thing about science to feel empowered to learn and take things forward so that they have a roadmap for their own research.
So patients need to fill out research journals for their own data, automated it, make it friction-free so you don't have to work all day for your research.
Let's teach patients and participants as we go through the research process. So not only do we understand what the whole research process is doing and what the results look like, but also that we understand more about our bodies in a more scientific method.
On the theme of flipping it, if you could make a competitive application so that if you are a research participant, it's because you've won.
That coming from the game designer.
So collaborate with researchers, collaborate with our primary care doctors so that while we're in a long-term study, the ball isn't being dropped and things aren't being missed, so that our other healthcare can still continue and holistically treat us outside of research.
So early collaboration and engagement with technologists, scientists in IT world so that we learn your language of healthcare.
How can we learn to laugh at our mistakes so that we can all benefit from the research without repeating those mistakes? Because there's a lot of graveyard stories for research, whether it's clinical or innovative entrepreneurship, that isn't shared, and we end up making the same mistakes and falling through the same hurdles.
Wow. I see a couple more.
Easy to access tools and templates for folks who are interested in doing research to navigate them through the process, and mentors who are available to assist and advise.
Okay. Make the design of trials more an interactive process. I mean, these are apps where people can see everything to do with their dog being walked and everything when they're on vacation. So people get enrolled in trials and are frustrated that they don't know what happens afterwards. So if we can tell what's happening with our pets, why can't we do something similar for the design and conduct of trials?
Make research grants collaborative, where you've got a higher chance of getting the grant if you're on a team that has people from different organisations and patients, of course.
Let people watch, experience, follow the research like a real reality TV show.
I'd like to see a virtual me on which the potential outcomes of experiments could be run and reset, rather than having to read pages and pages of letters and numbers. I'd like to see an avatar for each person who participates.
I'd like to be able to shop for a clinical trial the same way I shop for a pair of shoes at Zappo, where I can compare features and pick and choose what I want.
And if you don't like it, it's free return shipping, right? How about a couple more?
What if we make patients part of the fundraising gatekeeping?
Allow researchers and participants
to bring +1.
Love it.
And includes spiritual healing, meditation, and alignment with the force of the universe.
How about one more?
I think there's nothing more delightful than collaborating across borders.
That's a great Let's have a hand for crowd brainstorming at Manhattan.
So friends, I know it's very, very hard to see on these screens here. This is an incredible, incredible list of co-created ideas that just comes from this incredible place of positivity and collaboration and brainstorming in this room. And there's been this theme throughout our time together over the last 3 days, which is this idea of sharing needs and offers and gratitude. And my gratitude is certainly for you all in participating in this experiment that we've never done before, and for my co-conspirators, Claudia and Larry. But the next thought is, has anything in here sparked you to want to continue to build this out? Would anybody want to build the Uber to pick up patients, right? I see hands. Would anybody want to build the spa that does research, right? And like, I kind of want to go there and be a participant in this idea of a virtual me, and these ideas are so incredible. And I'm guessing that there are people in the room that know how to do some of these things or understand how to prototype them at their simplest levels, right? And that there's other ideas that we could have. And so I would invite you to use those needs and offers cards that you have, or to connect with the people in this room, or if somebody said, I have this idea, and you think, I do that already, or I do something like that, and we ought to work together, that now you know who's in this room, and you know the creative potential in that. And I thank you for doing this with us. This was absolutely incredible. Give yourselves a round of applause.